Hi, this is Professor Knott. Compare and contrast civil and criminal proceedings. The process of a civil proceeding can accumulate to almost a year and a half or more. Usually the result is financial recovery, such as compensation for the plaintiff. In a criminal proceeding, the average time of resolvement is about a year. The result in criminal punishment for the defendant. It also may result in a fine, imprisonment, community service, or death penalty. A criminal case can be initiated by the state or federal government, while a civil law is initiated by a private entity. Identify the difference between procedural and substantive due process. Substantive refers to what should be done, while procedural concerns how it should be done. An example of substantive due process, like stated before, it's the court protection of individuals' basic freedoms, such as the right to privacy, the right to marry, and abortion laws. Procedural due process can also be involved in children education. Explain the legacy of English common law and its relationship to modern jurisprudence. The most important legacy that came about with English common law with modern jurisprudence in the United States was a rule of precedent, as a precedent to a particular case helped to make decisions in prior cases with identical or similar issues. Discuss the implications of constitutional case and statute law and the relationship to the criminal justice system, as law comes from three places, as they are referred to as the source of law, as constitutional law being the first source of law. Statutory law cannot conflict with constitutional law because the U.S. Constitution is the leading source of law. Then finally, the third source of law being case law, when the judge rules on the fact of a particular case. Identify and give an example of an ex post facto law. The ex post facto after the fact law can be found in the U.S. Constitution, sections 9 and 10 of Article 1. According to Gardner, ex post facto is a criminal law made retroactive to punish prior conduct not criminal when done. Page 17. That means no new laws cannot apply to people operating before the new law was passed. Explain how burden of proof relates to criminal proceeding. The prosecution has the burden of proof in a criminal trial because the prosecution has the legal burden of proving every element of an offense to the guilt of the person charged. It's obligatory in a legal case to prove allegations by presenting enough strong supporting evidence. Explain and discuss the legal elements of crimes. The elements of every crime involve mens rea, concurrence, and actus reus. Actus reus is guilty act that is used in courts to describe essentially the physical act of the crime, while mens rea, guilty mind, is used to describe the defendant's state of mind during the time of the crime. Identify and discuss the legal defenses in criminal law. There is self-defense, the insanity defense, which it really isn't really ever used, because it's hard to prove insanity, but entrapment is also a defense used. So is immaturity for those of age 7 and below, due to them not being able to have mens rea, the mentality to think, as well as duress and mistake defense. Discuss the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution. The Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments that were made part of the U.S. Constitution in 1791. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, religion, press, and the right to assembly. The Second Amendment is right to bear arms. The Fourth Amendment is unreasonable search and seizure. The Eighth Amendment protects you from cruel and unusual punishment.